name's Eric. I was asked to put together an instructional video on the Glen Phillips song "Comes a Time" that I posted on YouTube, and I thought that was a really flattering request. And so I thought if I'm going to do it, I might as well go whole hog and show some of the things that I've learned on guitar that have gotten me to be able to play the song the way I do. I try to play it pretty close to the way Glen does. Everybody has their personal style differences. But I'll take you through the song, and hopefully there'll be some things along the way so that if you want to take some things beyond the song into other songs, you'll be able to do that as well. So, fingers crossed, here we go. So I thought I'd start off with some basics, and I know instructional videos starting off with basics, you're kind of just like, get to this stuff, I want to learn this stuff, but some of these things are, I feel, kind of important, so hopefully you'll find them useful. Hopefully it won't be too much review of stuff that you already know and just want to get to the meat of the stuff. So the way I play, I kind of have like a very sloppy flat picking style, but it's pretty much constant up and down with the pick, and I think it's really easy to demonstrate like on just one note. So if I'm playing the D string, it'll be like, you can hear sometimes I'm hitting the note, sometimes I'm not, and some of them are hitting a little heavier than others, like I'm hitting the one beat. You can transfer that to other strings. You can kind of almost hear "Comes a Time" in there already. But if you just practice on that D string, it kind of gives you the feel of the song. And this even it even moves forward into chords. And this is the other thing that I wanted to mention is that I kind of sometimes like to think of the guitar as being divided into two parts. So you got this low part, these bass strings, and then you have the high strings, which in that part there, I don't think I was even like touching the high strings. You still get a really nice sound just from like these 3 or 4 top strings, and that allows you to use the treble strings for accents. So that's sort of an approach to the strumming that I do. The other thing is that I tend to do a lot of muting with the base of the palm here. I guess that's what that's called. So a lot of the times there'll be you can hear like a lot of muting instead of like just open strumming. And I'm just sort of like, I don't know if you can see that, just sort of resting my hand right along here on the bridge, and every once in a while sort of like rolling it over to mute the strings. So you get that rhythmic feel, but sometimes you keep it open and let the strings open. Let's see, what else important for this song? I think you'll notice that that I do a lot, that I think Glen does a lot. I think I picked this up from watching Glen a lot. And I think Glen said he learned from watching. I forget the other guitarist in Toad. Is it Todd? I think it's Todd, maybe. Just watching him play, and Glen said that's where he picked up a lot of his guitar styling. So I think watching other guitarists is really great for finding little things here and there. Glen uses a lot of his pinky finger to accent notes and chords. And it's something I hadn't seen done a lot until I started watching Glen. So, you know, I'd always been familiar with like bringing a D up to a D suspended, but bringing it over like to here. So it took me a while to get really comfortable using the pinky, and I'm still not totally there. So if it takes you a while, just know that, it could be that if you haven't been using your pinky a lot, just need to build up the strength to get there in the practice and know what it feels like. I think that's the basic stuff. There may be a few digressions here and there throughout the different sections of this video, but let's get going into the intro. So in the intro of the song and also in the verses, I think the really important thing are the notes that you hit um, to really accent the chords. A lot of the time it's the bass note. So if the intro goes like this, then the things I think that are really important to strive for is to get these notes to hit. So those are the ones that really make the intro sort of take its personality. Um, so I'll just walk through the chords quickly. The first one is a D open suspended. I think I might have some of the chord names wrong. You have to forgive me for that. My music theory not as strong as it should be, but it's basically just a D chord with the middle finger raised. So you get there like that. Um, and then I find it easy to reach around and put the F sharp on the bottom here. There. With the thumb. Some people have a thicker guitar neck or might not be able to reach around. You can find ways to do it here. So switching from this D, switching the fingers to up here, so you get there. And then this is like one of my favorite G chords of all time, one of my favorite G variations. You might be familiar with this G where you have your middle finger on the 3rd fret, and then index finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, and then these two, the ring finger and the pinky, on the 3rd fret of the top 2 strings. It's a very nice full G. But this band called Great Big Sea that I really like, they're from Canada. They use a lot of G's with this index finger 2 strings down, and it's on the G string. And what that does, it also sort of lowers this middle finger to mute the A string. So what you get instead of is this. And you can hear this A string isn't really making any noise because the middle finger is kind of resting against it instead of pressing it down. So I really like that style of G. And it goes really well with that D because that open D is just these 2 fingers anyway. So you can practically keep these fingers there the entire time and only change the bass note, and it still gives you some really nice flavoring within the chords. And let's see, then onto the A. I play an A by holding it down with 1 finger. Some people use all 3 fingers like that. Hopefully you can see this in the video. But I like to just press my finger all the way down. Let's see, can you see what I'm doing there? There we go. So that just this part of the finger is holding down all 3 of those notes. And it takes a while to figure out how to do that without hitting the top E string. Sometimes you do. Hopefully it won't be too noticeable. But that leaves all your other fingers open to play around with other notes. And that's all that is putting the ring finger down on the 3rd fret and then leaving the top E string open. And then back to the D. And what I like about this is a lot of it, like I was saying, just like from that D to the G, is a lot of the times your fingers can stay in the same exact fret and not have to move, and that makes a really smooth transition. So in this one, I'm not sure that this ring finger has to move from this fret at all. So here's that pinky thing I was talking about in the basic section. Putting the pinky down on the 4th note, on the 4th fret of the D string is what gives that note there. So I like to play it straight right on the beat. Sometimes you can do a hammer-on. I think Glen does that. I've seen some other players do that. It gives a nice little flavor. It's up to you. no preference one way or the other for me. Um, but the song has a couple hammer-ons throughout. Also, when you go up to this F sharp from the D string, there, you might want to practice doing that for a little bit. So the entire intro, together with that sort of sloppy flat picking style I was talking about, and the chords I was just showing, kind of goes like this. Then up to the A. Here's that hammer. So that's like hammering it on there. And then one other thing that Glen does in a bunch of his songs that I'm still sort of struggling with, mostly because of that weak pinky, but it sounds really nice and it's sort of like an almost signature identifiable Glen Phillips sound, is when you're on an A, to lift it up to put the ring finger down on the 3rd fret and the pinky finger, on the 3rd fret of the B string, and the pinky finger on the 4th fret of the D string. So you get that, and if you can just hit that and then pull it off, so. And you can hear that all over Glen's songs and all over Toad's songs. I think the first place I really noticed it was in Walk on the Ocean, where let's see, the song is where are we going? So far away. It's that same A up to it's kind of mimicking a D chord over the A and then back down to an A. Sometimes I can't reach that far, and I have my pinky on the 4th fret of the G string, and that also sounds nice. It's not the same exact sound, but it still makes sense in the context. So you can play around with that, and that's a little accent there. Side note that I find interesting is that A up to a D, in structure, I know this is getting like a little technical, in structure it's the same thing as going from a G to a C chord, which is super helpful. I'm sure Toad does it, I'm sure Glen does it, but I think the most identifiable place you'll find is like in Simon and Garfunkel songs. So if you play a G like this, with just these 2 fingers, with the ring finger on the low E string, again muting that A so you don't hear it, and the pinky finger on the high E string, you can play a G like this. That's still a pretty nice full sounding G, but then you can take these 2 fingers and kind of mock a C chord over them, and that's like a very Paul Simon-y kind of thing. Songs, so that's something you might be able to work into your stuff as well if you're ever playing anything in the key of G. But Comes a Time is in the key of D, so that's where it will stay for now. That's pretty much the intro. I hope I've covered everything, but there should be a couple things more coming up in the verse. So see you there. Welcome to the verse of the song. This is where the singing comes in, and it took me a little practice to be able to sing and still do that kind of sloppy flat picking like I was talking about. So you might want to just practice that flat picking around chords. I don't tend to get too particular about where my pick lands unless there's specific notes I'm trying to hit. So if I'm just playing around in chords, I'll start, like I said, on that D string with the, and then let other strings start falling in there wherever the pick lands. Like up to the G. You can hear like there's some hammer-ons there. I don't mind open notes too much, especially if you finish them off by completing the chord. It can add some nice flavor to the chords too. So that's pretty much the strumming pattern for pretty much the whole song. And just like in the intro, what really makes the verses stand out and accompany the voice is the bass notes that get hit. So I'll play the verse full, and then I'll just sort of isolate the bass so you can hear. So here we go. So a couple things in there, but the main bass notes you'll be listening for, and you can probably hear without all that extra extra note picking in there, is um, so if you follow those bass notes and then fill in with the sloppy flat picking, I should trademark that, shouldn't I? Sloppy flat picking. Um, and then a couple other things to notice are even with the speed of the strumming that you do like that, sometimes it can be useful to slow down the strum just to accent something. And you can definitely notice that with that last G chord you land on. If you slow it down just like the smallest percent, then you can like get every note in there, and it really helps accent everything. Also, I've noticed this. If you play closer to the bridge, you get a tinnier sound, which in general I think sounds a little unappealing. So I tend to play closer to over the sound hole. But then if you slide over here to pick closer to the bridge just for like an accent mark, so again on that last G, if you instead of that would be staying over the sound hole the whole time. But if you stay over the sound hole just for the chord and then accent, it gives a nice little tinny quality, and it's like a variation in the sound. Nice to hear if you can fit it into the song. So yeah, let's go through that again and see if I'm missing anything. There's a couple hammer-ons. I think I also slow down during the A. And that might be something to practice a little while too. It's a little tricky not to hit the wrong notes. I do that a lot. So yeah, I'll go through the verse one more time, and hopefully it'll be pretty clear what's going on. I'll tell you the chords I'm using. It's that open D, and then you hit the low A string for that bass note. Then pinky finger on the 4th fret of the D string for that F sharp, and then move the index finger to walk that bass down. And then hammer on that thumb to the F sharp, and then that fancy G, that very pretty sounding G to the A, just like that. It's also notable, like I said, Glen uses this D thing a lot. You can also hear it in the song Trainwreck, that starts off. Kind of hit that last chord a little bit weak, but forgive me for that. So yeah, hopefully this video will show you things that again you can carry into other songs. But that's pretty much the verse up to that G chord. I'll just try singing it to get to the next part. There comes a time in life to put on your coat and go outside. One thing to be careful of when you're singing this song, and I may go back and re-record the YouTube version I did, is you don't want to try to project too much. You really want to keep the temperature of your voice low. Temperature of your voice? I'm not sure that's the right word. It's a very subtle song, a very sweet song, um, and I think in the version I recorded first, it's very much like there comes a time. It's not that bad, but you can hear like it's not exactly as sweet as it should be. Keep your voice low, and sweet, almost like you're whispering the song. There comes a time in life. You don't have to shout it. That's more of a note to myself, but if it helps you, cool. So after each of the verses, the song goes into this kind of mini bridge, and the first verse goes into "Taste the vinegar you'll find." And I just want to talk about this chord for a second that he uses. It looks like a straight F sharp major, and you might find some chord or tablature that says, use that one. Taste the vinegar you'll find. But I think I've seen Glen do this, and it adds a lot of flavor to the notes. You'll notice I talk about flavor in chords a lot. Is instead of doing this full F sharp major bar chord, don't hold down this finger on any of the notes. Just hold it down on that bass note, so you can you see it's sort of lifting up and not really touching any other strings, which allows this B and the top E to ring open. So you get these notes, which very much more flavorful, right? Very much more flavorful. Flavorful. Forgot an R in there. And this is a chord structure that you can use in a lot of songs. You'll find it all over the place. You can even bring it back down 2 frets to the E, to an A, and to a B. And even if you use the chord structure for a minor chord, like here, you can still let that open E ring open. And even though it's doubling here, it gives a really nice what's that called? When 2 notes double up. I know the word, but I'm forgetting it right now. So I'm not going to tell it to you right now. You can look it up. It's on Wikipedia and Google and everything. And you can hear this in a lot of Glen and Toad songs. I think my favorite one to use this in is "Fly from Heaven." So using just those chords with those open 2 strings, you get let's see, that starts here. Like water through my hands, you give help any ending, but if he's all you say, would he fly from heaven to this world again? With the capo on the 2nd fret here, that's a little high for me, but you can hear like it has a really nice ring instead of trying to play those chords straight, which would give much more of a, I think, a blander sound. So the whole point of that is to keep those top 2 notes, the high B and the high E string, open when you go into the mini bridge of "Comes a Time." Let's circle back around to that, shall we? Taste the vinegar you'll find. Was I singing the right melody there? I don't think I was. I'm gonna have to get back into the song. Let me figure out where it was. There. Taste the vinegar you'll find. And that's the A with that one finger holding down the A, and you can even bring up that those 2 fingers for the D back down to the A. Bitter life down to an E chord, and you can even suspend the E by bringing the pinky down onto the 2nd fret of the D string. I'm sorry, the G string, if you can fit all your fingers in there. There. So just those 3 chords together will sound like Taste the vinegar, you'll find bitter life. And then the next part is pretty simple. It's pretty much a straight walk down from a G to a D with the F sharp held over with the thumb, to an E minor with those with the ring finger and pinky still on the high B and E string, to a D, and then it ends on a C major seventh, which is kind of just like a C chord, like this, except you lift your ring, your index finger, and you let that open B ring there, and then up to an A. I know it was a lot of chords, so I'll go through that more at speed. And you can do that little flourish onto the and back into the beginning of the verse again. So again, without singing, that walk down from the G, D, E minor, regular D without the F sharp down in the bass, C major seventh, A major. So all together, the that little mini bridge goes like this. Taste the vinegar, you'll find in bitter life. Taste the second time, sweet surprise, sweet surprise. And I just realized that I play an A7th there, not an A major. So rescind everything I said about that A major there, and play an A7th, which are these notes. And you notice I play that with two fingers instead of this one finger here. I use the ring finger and the middle finger, with the middle finger on the second fret of the D string and the ring finger on the second fret of the high B string. So you get there. And I think I keep the middle finger there because it's an easy transition from the C major seventh. Hopefully that won't jump you too far back in your brain from having to use that regular A major. I think you'll figure it out. You're pretty smart. So that's the mini bridge, and then it goes back into the verse. And after that, there's kind of only two more sections of the song. So let's look at the actual bridge. So as opposed to all those mini bridges throughout the song, this is the kind of actual bridge that comes about 3/4 of the way through the song, after, I'm going to say, the third verse. Can't quite remember right now, but I think it's after the third verse. And it starts from the mini bridge walking down from that G. The pride, humility, bitter pill. And that's that C major seventh. And then instead of going up to the A seventh, you want to go back up to that F sharp major with the open two strings. Bitter pill. Now, here's where it gets tricky. So I'm going to try to go slow through this. Starts off with a regular B minor. There. And then it goes to a chord that I don't know the name of. It's one of these tricky chords, but it kind of walks down the B minor. So I can tell you the notes. If you're still barring this on the second fret of the guitar, and you have the B minor with that with the second fret of the A, and then the fourth fret of the D string, which is the same as the B minor. Sorry, I have to think my way through this. And then put your index finger. I'm sorry, that's the middle finger on the third fret of the G string, and then leave the top two with the second fret from that bar note on the index finger. and you get these notes. So stepping down from that B minor, you can practice doing that over and over because I think it took me a while to get that transition. Then back down to the A major, which is simply A major. And then you have a choice here. I choose to go for the more difficult option, which sometimes I miss, but when I hit it, it sounds good. And it's kind of an E major with a G sharp in the bass. I know, again, that's kind of like music theory technical. So I'll tell you what the notes are. And the notes are these. With the ring finger on the 4th fret of that low E string, and then I'm going to jump up ahead here to put the pinky down on the 4th fret of the G string, so it sort of doubles that open B, and the your index finger. Is this confusing, me naming all the fingers like this, especially since I can't remember the names of the fingers? Index finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, and again, just like earlier with that fancy G chord, this finger holding down the bass is kind of muting the A string, so that won't ring in the chord. And if you've done it correctly with those top 2 strings open, you'll get this. And I'll play those notes one by one so you can be sure that you're doing the right thing. And this is that muted A. That's all 6 strings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The tough thing here is going from an A into this chord. This is a weird chord shape, so it's not entirely natural, at least for me yet. So you may need some practice doing that, or maybe you're already at a level where you're like, that's the easiest thing to do. Why are you even spending any time on it? It's because I need to spend time on it. So let's see, to go down from that B minor, to that other chord. See, not that easy to hit. Practice doing that, it should sound pretty natural, and then what you get is a really nice walk down. I have seen other players just play that low G sharp with their pinky finger over the A. It works, it's serviceable. In my opinion, it doesn't sound as natural or as full as it could. So let's see, the 2 options there then would be to use that weird E with the G flat and the G sharp in the bass would be sweet surrender, oh my Lord. Or if you just want to play it with the A and a pinky finger holding down the G sharp, it would be sweet surrender, oh my Lord. You see, you kind of get some muted notes in there, and it's not as pretty sounding. Again, my opinion. And then the second half of that line is just a straight G walk down to a D. I never thought I'd see. And that should be pretty familiar from the mini bridges. Not surprising, still I find I'm shaking. And you hold that G, back to that D, crying. But I'm laughing softly. You say on that A. So the structure of that is pretty much that's that B, that sort of half B minor walk down, A, E over a G sharp, G, D, E minor, A, and that's the entire bridge. And we'll go back into the end of the song. So the end of the song, we made it. That starts off with just the normal verse. So I'm not going to run through that with too much too much detail because we've already been through that, and I assume that you've got that down by now. There comes a time in life, just that regular verse, to put on your coat and go out. Now here's where we get the outro. Um, it's a suspended B flat. So the way I like to think of this is if you're familiar with like a suspended A, which again leaves those top two notes open, just like that. This is a B flat, which is barred, but it has that same feeling to it. So those notes individually, you kind of mute the top string or don't hit it at all, so you get. And then it goes to an F major, which is just a straight F major bar chord. E minor, without those two top strings. So what you get is that nice, on the top you get those two strings ringing, and then with the F, same two strings. And then with the E minor, instead of going up to the 3rd fret, they go down to be open. And then the A 7th, and ending on the D. I think I do the open D suspended. You know what? I might not even hit the E string on that one. So from the B flat suspended 4th, I'm gonna say 4th or 2nd. And that's all it is. To put on your coat and go outside. So that's the song as I play it, as far as I can remember, with all the little flourishes that I can recall that I put in there. Final notes. This might be obvious to anybody watching this, but it took me a long time to figure out in my own head. I used to read a lot of guitar magazines or look up tablature online. I still do from time to time, just to figure out like what are the exact notes that this person is playing and when are they playing them and when do I hit this and when do I hit that. But a lot of those, a lot of the songs that you like, and a lot of the tablature you find are from people who play guitar in their own style, and they don't. I think there's not a lot of thinking that goes into I'm hitting this note at this time and this note at that time. Like I was saying earlier in this video, some notes are definite sort of signature notes that you want to ring out in the song. Other times they're just kind of filler notes, and they come from how a guitarist plays. So don't worry too much about sticking strictly to exactly every single note. You're going to play how you play. I play how I play, which isn't how Glenn plays, which isn't how anybody else plays. Certain people have similar styles, but everybody's going to have their own way of doing things, and I think the songs will sound much more listenable and appealing if you play them like you play them naturally, instead of trying to dogmatically stick to every single note that this person hits at this point in the song. It's going to sound like you're trying to remember how this goes and not make any missteps instead of just playing it naturally. So that would be like my one big tip for any kind of guitar playing. Learn from whoever you're watching, learn from tablature, learn from looking up chords online or buying guitar magazines, listening to those MP3s over and over. Find software that helps you slow them down and pick up which notes he's hitting at which point. But at the end of the day, play it like you play it, and I think you'll come off sounding great. Good luck with the song, and I hope this video was helpful. Thanks for listening. Bye.